Hello, everyone. Welcome to our In Dialogue series, a partnership between the Louisiana Children's Museum and the Tulane Institute of Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health. My name is Angie Bridenstine, and I'm an assistant professor with the Tulane Institute, and I'm happy to be introducing today's webinar. The team at the Louisiana Children's Museum is working every day to bring you new ways to interact with the topics that are most important to our community. And today we'll be discussing how to help your children maintain friendships during COVID-19. Our session presenters today are Dr. Linnell Goodman and Dr. Valerie Wada-Johnston. Linnell Goodman, PhD, is a postdoctoral psychology fellow at Tulane University School of Medicine, with an emphasis in infant and early childhood mental health. Dr. Valerie Wada-Johnston, PhD, is an assistant professor at Tulane University School of Medicine. Dr. Wada-Johnston is a psychologist who sees clients across the lifespan. I want to let you know that this webinar is being recorded and it will be shared on the museum website and YouTube channel. And at the end of the session, we will open it up for a Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please submit them using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. There have been some thunderstorms in the area, so if we suddenly disappear, it's because our power went out, but we're crossing our fingers for no difficulties. So I will now turn things over to Drs. Goodman and Wada-Johnston.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us, and we've been really looking forward to this webinar. We're hoping that the information that we present either gives you some new ideas or reinforces the things that you're already doing. And I really want to start off with just sharing some positive information. A lot of parents are concerned about what their children may be missing in terms of social and emotional development while they are not in school or they're not in their usual summer activities, whether that's sports or camps. And the reading that I've done has indicated that as long as kids have the majority of their other needs met, the separation from friends is not as detrimental as people tend to worry about. Of course, it's always good to have friends around, to have interaction with children their own age. But at the same time, kids are really resilient and they are able to go with the flow a bit. Of course, some kids have more difficulty and kids can get lonely. We will definitely talk about loneliness later in the webinar. I also want to remind everyone that, you know, we as New Orleanians, as Louisianians, and as Americans, we are pretty resilient. And so I try and have a lot of optimism about the fact that our children, our parents, and ourselves as practitioners can adapt and grow through this.
Okay, so to begin this presentation today, we just wanted to start out with what are some of the expectations for children in learning to develop friendships and what that looks like across childhood. And so for 0 to 2-year-olds, we really start seeing that these young children start showing preferences for some peers over others. They begin to comfort others when they feel sad, they see someone crying, they might reach out a hand to them, they begin to imitate other children. They also can begin cooperative problem solving at this age. So particularly toddlers might be trying to get something off of a counter and might have 2 toddlers push a stool over to be able to achieve that goal. So they really start learning to work together with others. The preschool years are where friendships really start beginning. They begin to make friends and maintain the same friends over time. Excuse me. They practice social and emotional skills. They develop a sense of belonging, and they can start cooperating and having pretend play with their friends. They also start beginning to receive support from friends, and they can validate their experiences. In school age, friends become even more important to children and really grow in importance into the kind of support that they provide kids and can help kids overcome stressful situations. They also, at this period of time, really begin to want to please their friends and be more like their friends.
So let's think for a moment why we have friends. Of course, at the base, people are social animals. We have a need for affiliation. We have a need to feel like we belong, that we are understood by someone in our age group with similar interests and things like that. With kids, they do gain a lot of skill development through their friendships. There's definitely social skills that happen, how you make friends, how you keep friends, how you have a conversation that's back and forth, how you take care of a friendship. That all is happening, and we learn from our mistakes as well as from our successes. There's emotional development. We have to deal with other people's emotions. We have to deal with our friends' emotions as well as our own emotions about a friend. So that's always a great wealth of emotional experience with a group of children. Speech and language development occurs, of course, when we hear speech. And so speaking and talking with our friends is another exposure to language. And as kids get older, even learning things like how you talk to your friends versus how you talk to adults. There is a lot of opportunity for learning how to resolve conflicts when you have a group of children, whether it's over sharing a toy or who's friends with who. There are these mini breaks that our kids will learn to repair in their friendships. And of course, pleasure. Having a friend, as I said earlier, is a pleasurable activity. We have that feeling of someone being with us and being part of a relationship. So having a positive peer group, of course, brings with it some pleasure. So from birth to 2 years through the 24th month, really our first playmates are our caregivers, and if we have siblings, our siblings, right? So everything from playing peekaboo to playing with rattles with the babies. Learning to walk can be a fun game, like, oh, come to me, and helping them take first steps. Extended family, of course, is also often some of our first playmates, depending on location of that family or the extended family. And then there's, especially as the kids get older, there's that kid at daycare, which they may not know the name of that kid, but they know that's the kid that they want to have their cot near during nap time. They want to share juice, they want to share cookies. And sometimes, they are a little bit more interchangeable up to like 2, but even at 2 years, kids are starting to build their social circle, and you start to see by the end of the 2nd year some leaders, some followers kind of behavior happening. Okay, so for preschoolers and younger, some of the things that you can do is, and really where they are in their development makes a difference here. So for the 0 to 2s, there's a lot of reliance on proximity for playmates, meaning parents, siblings. But even the younger kids can sometimes do short video interactions, especially with extended family. If you're on FaceTime or on a Zoom call and there's some waving. As kids get older, they can play short games. They can play tic-tac-toe. They can play guess the word. and they can do some parallel activities, just like in the photograph there. If I have a tea set and you have a tea set and we're playing together with our tea sets, so it's like concurrent activities, keeping in mind that little kids are not great on the phone. And I think even before COVID, people have had experiences where you know, a small child might be really excited to get on the phone with aunt whoever or uncle whoever, or you know, even mom or dad who might be out of town or something, and they get the phone and there's nothing. They just sit there and smile, right? They're not doing that. I've actually had some friends' children wanting to show me things on the phone, like, do you want to go on the phone? And they run and they get a teddy bear or something, and they're holding it up to the phone when we're not on FaceTime. So that whole talking on the phone is not really going to come online until a little bit later. Exchanging pictures with parents or videos with parents of your children's friends' parents to share with the kids can be really helpful, especially if there's a particular child that your child is saying, oh, I miss Joey, or I miss Wanda, or I miss whoever. Then, you know, getting some of that just vicarious information, like, oh, here they sent a picture, let's watch this video, they're making dinner, or they're, and it doesn't have to be a spectacular video or picture, just something that can kind of help remind, oh yeah, this is what this person is doing while they aren't around. Small and short in-person play interactions with masks and hand washing and sanitizer and all those kind of things is fine. The one thing about masks is we really need to remember to remind our kids that their mask is their mask and we don't trade masks, because it's really easy for little kids. We know they trade all sorts of stuff on a regular basis in school, at childcare. So if I wanted a Superman mask and you have the Superman mask and I have the Batman mask and you want the Batman mask, the impulse is going to be to trade those masks, and that kind of defeats the purpose. We don't want to do that. And remember that in terms of small interactions, I mean, just a few kids, having a bunch of kids together can be a little overwhelming, especially when they haven't seen each other for a while, and keep it relatively short. Our kids at this age don't have huge attention spans. And so, you know, we're not talking about all day meetups, but maybe for these kids who are 5 and under, just an hour or so. And the other thing is that we can talk with our children about what they like about their friends. So if they're talking about their friends, oh yeah, so what do you like about playing with that friend? What kind of things do you have in common? So you're also having this teaching moment where you can talk about their experiences of friendship and what friendship means, and placing, you know, it's not going to be a deep philosophical conversation. They both like red. Awesome. So filling in that, oh, wow, so you like the same colors, you like the same things, can be very helpful. And sometimes having similar toys or the same toy can create a bit of a bond or a link or a reinforcement of that bond, where if I have the same teddy bear and you have the same teddy bear, we might be sharing pictures of ourselves with the same kind of teddy bear, and it just kind of reinforces that link.
Okay, so now for our older kiddos, they can handle phone and video phone interactions better. They have that longer attention span, and they have that better understanding that someone on the phone can't also see them. And this really gives an opportunity to have some really creative hangouts in it. Virtually, you can get on Zoom or a video platform with a few of their friends. They can have a virtual game night. They can watch the same movie at the same time. Can even have everybody put together a talent and hold a talent show or karaoke. There's a lot of great ideas of ways that kids can continue to interact and have some creative interactions even though they can't be together. They also have that more improved writing ability and drawing ability, and can create crafts for their friends and send them and really become pen pals with their friend. There's also a children's book called Flat Stanley, which is the idea of having a picture of a child cut out, and this picture goes through different adventures and different activities. So you can take pictures of this cut out of a child doing different activities to update their friends on what they've been up to. You can also go outside of their friends' homes, leave them chalk drawings outside an apartment or a house, play games online together. Kids a lot of times are already doing this. They can play video games virtually with each other. They can get on the computer and join the same game groups at the same time and really maintain those friendships that way, in a way that they're working towards a common goal and talking together, but not necessarily just sitting around and chit-chatting. And then kids at this age better understand social distancing and have a little bit, depending on the child, have a little bit better impulse control of running up to their friend and kind of breaking that social distance space. So having small gatherings outdoors as you feel comfortable and safe, where they can handle 6 feet of spending some time outside together with their friends, with, of course, masks and hand washing to make sure that everybody is really safe.
So, of course, there are going to be times when being socially distant, there's some feelings of loneliness. And just as a reminder, all of our emotions are really important. Sometimes it's hard to see our kids struggle with what we might think of as negative emotions, but they really do serve a purpose. And so when kids are lonely, it reminds them that they do want social interaction, that they want some time with someone. And so that actually serves as a positive function, even though it's an uncomfortable experience or an uncomfortable feeling. And when our kids are having uncomfortable feelings, whether it's loneliness or maybe they're aggravated with COVID, or they're aggravated with school or confused, but focusing a little bit more on lonely, it's always good to validate their feelings. Sometimes just by saying, yeah, you're mad about that, and it's a hard situation, can help that child organize their feelings. Yes, I am upset, and you get me. You, as my really important person in the world, you get me. And yeah, this is kind of a bad situation or an uncomfortable situation. You can kind of talk with them about what they want to do about that. Do they want some help with those feelings, or are they kind of good? But asking, do you want me to help you with this, gives them the opportunity to say, yeah, I need my important adult around to help me kind of get through this, or maybe no, I'm just need to be sad for a little bit, or I just need to be alone for a little bit. If they do want some help, and they might come back later, if they initially said no, they might come back a little bit later and say, well, what do you mean? What can we do? Discuss ways that the kids can reach out. Some of the things that we've talked about, maybe they want to make a phone call, maybe they want to draw a friend a picture and mail it to them. Maybe they want mom to send a text to the other mom, or maybe they want an aunt to kind of set up a time to talk with them, or however, whoever the caretakers are, hopefully they know each other well enough to be in contact and have addresses to do some of these things, and then make plans for actually doing that. So giving the child the agency to be a participant in planning out how they want to reach out, how they want to make contact, can also really help with those feelings of controllability. I can do something about my feelings and also about the situation, and I can make some decisions about this, so that they can also see that feelings aren't just something that like fly through the air and land on us, but actually how I think and how I feel and what I do, they're all very connected, and I can work with those things. Kids, sometimes we might miss when our kids are a little bit lonely. They may not be saying it, but kids communicate in many different ways. How they're approaching problems might they might be a little bit more irritable. They might be showing us with feelings, showing us with the looks on their face of that they're struggling with something. And so remembering to kind of reach out to them if they aren't using their words, that we need to fill in some of those blanks as well. Okay, so we have a few resources. There are a lot of books available on friendship, and everything that we've said so far, we've been aiming for the 8 and under, 12 and under age group, and we haven't gone into whether how to do this if kids have pre-existing difficulties with making or keeping friends. Because that could be a whole other webinar, right? So these books are things that are readily available that talk about friendship and some social skills. And so you can actually use them to be talking about being friends without actually having a friend there. Well, the Dino Tales it's dinosaur based, and it is a selection of books. They cover a lot of different topics, including how to be a friend, a guide to making and keeping them. But they even go into When Dinosaurs Die, which is a book about grief, and they have just a nice series. Join In and Play talks about some of those things that we sometimes forget kids have to learn, which is like how you introduce yourself as a little kid to another little kid. So it's very useful. My personal favorite, and this book is just really close to my heart, and Linnell's laughing because she knows how much I love this, is Bunny and Bird Are Best Friends. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this story so that you know what it's about. But I find that it's a really appropriate book for the time. So Bunny and Bird are best friends, and they meet, they're best friends. Bunny teaches the bird to hop. Bird's trying to teach Bunny to fly, doesn't go as well. And they're having a great time. And then it's autumn and into winter, and Bird and his family fly south, leaving Bunny by himself. And Bunny has to go find somebody to play with him. And he approaches some of the adults, and that they are not overly receptive. And he finally does make a new friend. He makes a new friend with a squirrel. And Bunny and the squirrel hang out for a while. And it gets warmer and the snow melts. And all of a sudden, Bird is back. And so then Bunny and Bird were friends, and Bunny and Squirrel were friends, and they have to work out all three of them being friends. So it's a very simple book. It's not very long. It's a lovely little story. It has really nice illustrations, and it really is, it covers a lot of friendship topics in one short story. And I use it regularly with some of my clients, and even kind of thinking about how am I friends with more than one person? Can my friends have other friends than me? And it can be very helpful for kids gaining those skills. So that is our information for today that we have planned, and we are happy to answer questions if you have them. There is a survey that we really strongly encourage you to complete. The feedback from surveys is definitely used, so we really hope that you take a few minutes and complete that for us. Thank you very much for your time and your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Wada-Johnston and Dr. Goodman. Really appreciate all the useful information. I'm going to give a moment for folks to share any questions or comments they have in the Q&A feature. And I just wanted to mention a good friend of mine, when her daughter had her 11th birthday recently, they did something similar to what you were talking about, where they made a list of activities. They set up a Zoom play date or a Zoom party for her birthday, and they made little packets of things for each of the friends to have. So they delivered ahead of time some cupcakes to each child and a certain set of toys to each child. And so then during their party, they all decorated cupcakes together and they all played with a certain toy together. So I think that idea of kind of it's a little extra effort for parents, but kind of planning out some activities that kids can do together, and maybe even if it's, if you have the resources, supplying some of those materials can be pretty successful and pretty fun. So one question that has come in is just if you are having kids get together, especially maybe young kids, for a play date in person, you mentioned, using masks and hand sanitizer, but do you have any ideas about how to remind kids to practice appropriate kind of social distancing while they are together, or how you as a parent might facilitate that?
Yes. So I think preparation is key. So reminding kids what the expectations are before the gathering is always really important, and reminding them what the point of those expectations are. So if we are saying, we don't want to, everybody keeps their mask on them and we don't trade masks, we give them that reasoning, and age appropriate and really short. We don't trade masks because we don't want any germs going back and forth. Okay, and that's the rule for everybody. Making sure that they understand what is okay to do and what's not okay to do, and maybe even rehearsing it a little bit. And little kids, especially little kids, like the 2-year-olds who haven't seen another 2-year-old, and they recognize that kid and they just want to give a hug, they're going to give a hug. Keeping it from like an all day we are joined physically at cheek to cheek might take some doing, but that they'll understand. And then there's a parenting strategy that I talk with parents about a lot, where when a kid is doing something that you don't want them to do. First of all, if you are going to say, no, don't do that, you have to think about what you want them to do, right? And rather than saying, don't do that, you can ask the kid the question, hey, how are we supposed to be staying together? How close are we supposed to be staying together? That gives the child an opportunity to answer the question correctly. And if they don't, if they're, kids, they're like, oh, look, a squirrel, and everything goes out of their heads. They don't know, you tell them, and then you tell them, show me. And so they, the child, if it's about being too close together, oh, we're going to take a step apart. Awesome job. And then you get to praise them for doing what you want them to do. And this makes parents feel better because you're not constantly saying no or stop or don't. And because whenever we use those words, we can get a little worked up as well. And you have an opportunity to praise. So you stop them, ask them how they should be doing what they're doing, ask them to show you how they do it right, and then give them some praise when they do it right. Don't leave them hanging. If they're like, I don't know, just tell them it's fine. You need to remind them anyway. But remember to remind them what they're to do, rather than saying, don't stand so close together. Stand an arm's length away. Okay.
Great, thank you for that really useful advice. And I don't think we have any additional questions right now. So I just want to remind everyone that this recording, as well as other past In Dialogue sessions that have been recorded, are on the Children's Museum YouTube channel. And I've copied the link to that page or to that channel in the chat box. And again, if you have feedback you'd like to give on the series, on today's session, or ideas for future sessions, please go ahead and use that survey link. And thank you again, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Dr. Guida Johnston and Dr. Goodman for joining us and sharing this helpful information.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.